All right, how's it going, everyone? It's Nick Atkin here with another podcast. How are you all doing? I hope you're good. It has been a few days. I can't remember the last one. I think we did a couple last week, but we're getting back in the swing a bit, starting to get back with them now. Yeah, I had Rui Botello last week, and I did a Sunday show, I believe. So, yeah, my bad. I I thought we had Dennis Burch today, but I've just checked again. It's actually tomorrow morning. I'm going to have him. So, my apologies for that. I have sold you a false product here, gave you false dreams. But no, we can still have Dennis tomorrow, and we can still talk about the latest news today. My apologies again, though. I will get Dennis around about the same time, yes, tomorrow. And I'll also have Fabricio Andrade a bit later in the day. I'm not sure that one will be live, probably not record that one, I think. But yeah, once again, if you're just tuning in, my brain is a little bit fried. Yes, as Nicola asks, how's the kid? I've been having a few late nights recently, so I my brain isn't in the best shape. So I got the time and the day wrong on Dennis. My bad. Once again, the problem is he's in Canada, so we're doing time zone differences, and it just threw me off a little bit. So ignore the thumbnail, ignore the title. There will be no Bosnian menace today. There will be tomorrow. So I'll just do a quick catch up on the news today. And if you're watching, please do get your questions in, things like that, because I suddenly don't have much content to talk about. Just kidding. There's a few things we can discuss from the Friday Fight Show, which turned out to be quite eventful, but also a couple other things, such as sorry, I just got distracted. Yeah, there's a couple other things we can talk about. There is some news. Rodtang and Nong-O, a little bit of fun stuff with them over the weekend too. Some interactions there at a friendly game of football, a kickabout as we call it in the UK. Nothing too serious, but yeah, a little bit of news we can get into. But once again, I say please do join in if you have any questions. Excuse me, it hasn't been the busiest news week. I'm just getting back in the swing. But I do have some fun interviews lined up this week. I've got, as I said, Dennis tomorrow, not today, Fabricio Andrade tomorrow. He's just got a fight, but we can talk about that. Finally, defending the belt again. Also, looking to get Jake Peacock on board. So we will have a chat with him as we gear up towards 173 on November 16th in Tokyo. Yes, I can't wait. It's going to be incredible. We're about a month out now. Yeah, October 14th. So, yeah, about 4 or 5 weeks now. Trying to look at the calendar on my computer. I'm not very good with these things. I feel like I always say that. Technology is just starting to bypass me. But yeah, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, about 4.5 weeks out from Tokyo. That is crazy. Can't wait. It's going to be incredible. 7 title fights, I think, last time I checked. Yes, it's going to be split into 2 parts, I do believe, with, oh God, the roof. Yeah, there's some builders on the neighbor's roof, so apologies if you can hear the drill. Let me know if it's unbearable. Oh, that is the worst timing ever. Sounds like I'm just ripping loads of farts, but I'm not, promise you. This is really bad, isn't it? Can't just tell them to fuck off, can I? It's not even my roof, so I really can't tell them to stop. It's just a pneumatic drill. Oh, God. What a disastrous morning. What a disastrous morning. Tell me if it's unbearable. I'll end the show in the chat. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Yeah. 2 title fights. Sorry, 2 cards with 7 title fights across them. And, oh, this is bad. I can hear it in my mic, in my headphones. Can you hear it? Anyway, I'll try to speed through this one. It looks like this show has been doomed from the start. Okay. Anyway, let's talk some real news. Okay, so yeah, not too much to discuss today. I did talk about Friday fights briefly what I wanted to talk about was, of course, the big red card incident, which went a little bit viral for me on my Instagram. Abdessamie Rhenimi red carded for 2 illegal soccer kicks against Payakrut. You can see it here on my page. Hopefully, give us a follow if you don't already. Had Giuliano on the scene in Bangkok at Olympic Stadium. I wasn't there, but yeah, he caught all the craziness there. So a lot of people were upset at this because I think the first 10 seconds of the fight, you can see here, he kicks him in the face. Everyone was like, okay, that was a mistake. He got a yellow card for it. Then he got knocked down. And then second round, he just does it again. And it's even worse this time, I can't lie. And yeah, people were really, really not happy about that one. I'm not gonna lie, it was bad. Yeah, it was really bad. I can hear them again. But anyway, yeah, that one kind of blew up on my socials, especially on Facebook. And then it went a little bit viral, not just me. I think it was blown up everywhere. But yeah, I messaged him, Abdessamie, and I said, "Oh, do you have a statement you want to make? I can put out in the media." He said he would be making a video later and posting it. So very kindly collabed with me. I didn't ask him to, but there it is. And I also wrote out his apology in a post. I said, so I'll just put that somewhere. Here you go. Yes, Abdessamie Rhenimi apologized after being disqualified for 2 illegal soccer kicks. Moroccan teenager was red carded. I want to sincerely apologize to Payakrut. He said, I wish him a healthy and strong recovery. The fight was intense, and in the heat of the moment, I let my emotion take over. I wanted to win so badly that I lost control and didn't think clearly. My actions were not intentional, but I take full responsibility for them. This is not who I am, and it's not the example I want to set. As a professional, I'll learn from this and do better. Yeah, some people weren't happy with the apology. They said he clearly did it intentionally. No, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure it was intentional. I think, sometimes mistakes happen. If they happen twice, yeah, it's a little bit worse. But this kid is 19. I don't think he meant to soccer kick Payakrut in the face twice, because he knows after the first one, especially, that was a mistake, and he's going to get red carded if he does it again. So why would he do it? You could say, oh, well, he thought, he's losing the fight, so he wants the way out. I don't think he would risk that, knowing it might potentially cost him the chance to come back to one championship or to one Friday fights, and that could potentially cost him a lot of money and a whole career. I do think it's just a brain fart, a mental slip. The drilling has started again. Hopefully it doesn't continue. Yeah, I really picked a bad day for this. But yes, I thought the apology was decent. I think it was heartfelt. So again, don't hate too much. He is just a kid. He's 19 and he's quite talented. So, with these things happen. I've seen soccer kicks. I've seen Thais do soccer kicks, and it's never fun. I can't remember his name. The guy who kicked Mikel Fernandez pretty damn hard that he couldn't continue. He's super like old training buddy. I forgot his name. It's escaping me right now with all the noise in my head. But yeah, these things happen. As Anonymous says, I think he was just nervous. Yeah, I think put it down to nerves. Let's not vilify this kid too much. He's 19 years old. He's a young practitioner. He got punished for it. I think that should be enough. Bring him back to another fight when the time is right. You should not. Yeah, don't be too hard on him. I think a lot of people are laying into him on socials, but good to see some support for him. Supergirl's father isn't happy about it. Wants one to close the door to him for a couple of years and punish him. But yes, it is what it is. Anyway, some other news on that show, of course. Stevie Irvine, as you can see here, getting a one championship contract finally. I wrote it up for Bangkok Post. Got the head kick KO, 350,000 baht bonus, and a one championship contract. Here's the moment he got it. Very happy for Stevie. He's been pushing for this for a long time. I think he was on the verge of it. I think he's had 7 wins out of 8. I think he was on the verge a while ago, but he just wasn't finding that knockout, which seems to be what you need to do to get the contract. I mean, you can win fights in impressive fashion, in dominant fashion, but if you don't get that knockout, you tend to not get the contract, even if you're on a 5-6 fight win streak or whatever, things like that. We've seen that with Yod IQ. We've seen it with Abdullah Dayakayev. He finally got it. So I think, yeah, Stevie just had to stay patient, and it was difficult because he had his daughter who's now 5 months old. I'm sure he wanted to speed things up, but I'm sure now in hindsight he wouldn't change it for anything, because what a sweet moment it was for him. I've got the knockout somewhere on my Instagram. There it is. Yeah, it was a brilliant head kick. Yeah, incredible. First round, absolute scenes. JP and Nico jumping over the ropes into the ring. And I spoke to JP after this briefly. I got a quote from him, which I will share with you guys. Where is it? God, these people put half of my stories on the website. But yes, I did write a story about it. I just can't find it on Bangkok Post. They haven't published it on the page that it's meant to be on. Having some trouble with that. Yeah, I did another story where they put the wrong pictures in. Gotta get the right pictures in the right story, guys. Come on. All right, Bangkok Post, Stevie Irvine. Here is the story. I found it by Googling it. I will now share that with you guys. So here's the quote from JP. I thought it was pretty heartfelt, It's a massive weight off my shoulders, JP said. He said he can't put the happiness into words. It's just been me, Nico, and Stevie for a long time now, since we were young kids. Seeing it all pay off after all those years, pushing them both to quit their jobs and pursue this full time on the promise we would make this work and we would get to the big league. To sit back and see it become reality, that both of them are now signed to one, I really can't describe the feeling of relief. Yeah, you can see them there. You can see the relief. You can see how much it means to all of them. Insane KO, a story of the fight, says, I agree. One of my members, what's up, story of the fight? Thanks for joining. The pneumatic drill has stopped again, thankfully. But yeah, I did. If you're just tuning in now, I falsely sold the promise of Dennis Porch being live. He's actually going to be tomorrow morning, round about the same time as this. Hopefully, no drilling on the roof upstairs from the builders. But yeah, my brain's a little fried from all the late nights with the baby, so I'm getting things wrong here. But yes, staying up late because you're having spaghetti, or you're late because you were having spaghetti. That's still good. You don't have to worry. I appreciate you joining Story of the Fight. One of my members as well, shout him out. So yeah, Stevie Irvine, incredible performance from him. I'm really happy for him. He's a genuine guy. He's honest. He deserves it. And like he said, he's coming for it all. Believe me, I will be the king. I think that's what he said. I made a graphic about it. Yes, there it is. I've been trying my hand at Canva. So I'm trying to make some more fun graphics for you guys. I've been using Photoshop for a while, but Photoshop's getting quite expensive because they're losing all these customers, I think, to things like Canva and Adobe's, losing out to AI and CapCut, all these programs that are popping up and making things a lot easier. Sadly, it's kind of killing off the graphic design industry, but yeah, you move with the times, right? I guess. I feel bad because I wouldn't want to lose my job for computers. So I'm sure the computers will come for me soon and they'll be doing my job. I mean, I think it was Keith who showed me an AI podcast thing, which was incredible. He kind of typed in a few parameters and then they made a podcast about my reporting on one championship or something. It was incredible. I can't remember the program, but there is already the technology to replace me. That's the takeaway from that. But yeah, Stephen Irvine, congrats to him. I thought he was Yeah, really damn good. And he says he's coming to strawweight, not flyweight. So I think that was in between, like 130 that fight. But yeah, interesting. I guess Prajanchai has a new challenger. I would expect Stevie may be kind of pushed up pretty quickly, but interesting if it is strawweight because JP's got his old association with Alif, Swordesh Japan. So that they could cross paths. Alif probably going to fight Prajanchai next, and in December that was talked about. Or I don't know if Prajanchai's legs will be ready. They took a hell of a beating from Jabella, his legs. So I think that might be pushed back. Yeah, Stevie Irvine. I imagine he might get a couple of fights before just going straight to the belt if it is strawweight. Flyweight's a different prospect. That's perhaps why he doesn't want to maybe start at flyweight. He's still relatively young, I think 26, so he may end up at flyweight. But if he can get down to strawweight still now, he'd be a big strawweight, and I think, yeah, he could do some damage there. But yeah, flyweight is, as we've seen, is a bit crowded now, more than a bit crowded. You've just had Akif Gulizada and Aslam Mordikov jumping into the top 5. Zhao Siyai's there. Nakrab, who fights this week, I believe, on Friday fights, is still knocking around. Kongtorny, of course. Nong-O, Rodtang fighting for the belt. Talking of them, yeah, we'll get to them in a bit. They had their shenanigans at the football match in Bangkok, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, flyweight crowd, you still got guys like Dennis Puric, Elias Mahmoodi's going to come back. Jacob Smith fighting next month. And yeah, I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. The Estupiñans knocking about. Just a great division. There's so many ties coming up as well on Friday fights. It's just mad. The Superlek still technically. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch. But yeah, what a division. So Stevie might be smart to start down at strawweight. That was from Notebook LM. Yes. So this is the auto AI podcast thing. Says Keith, very cool. I will experiment with it a little bit more. Keith was telling me to use this program. It's taken me like years to just get over to Canva, so it's going to take me even more time, Keith, to get to Notebook, I think. But I'm slowly starting to explore these things. One Lumpini FC, how are you doing? Yeah, morning, my sensei. I like your shirt. Yeah, I got the Nirvana shirt. I picked that up last night. So there's this shop here called Cotton On, which does a bunch of cheap clothes. Well, it wasn't that cheap, to be honest. This one, but they have in the men's section. They have all these old band T-shirts, which is kind of from my heyday of the 90s and 2000s. So yeah, just every now and then I go in there and I pick up a couple more. I got a Smashing Pumpkins one yesterday, which you may know if you've met me in person. You see my tattoo here, Smashing Pumpkins tattoo. This is Nirvana, another band I was into as a youngin. They got everything: Offspring, Linkin Park, all my faves from adolescence. And yeah, they're just nice to wear around the house and put on for podcasts, especially. My podcast, I just want to be a bit lazy. I don't want to wear the bathrobe every show, so I had that on for Rui Batella last week because it was midnight when we interviewed him. But yeah, I got a few of these. You'll start seeing a few more. Just something comfy. They're super soft. Love it. And I like to represent. All right. Nirvana, second best unplugged show. Sorry to fight. What's the best? I'm trying to think. I mean, I love their unplugged show. Yeah, that's possibly one of those. I think they released the album of the live show they did on MTV Unplugged, and it's possibly thought of as the rare occasion having a live album is better than some of their other studio albums. I think that would be the case with this. Oh, Alice in Chains is goated. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I remember Nirvana Unplugged. I think they released like music video from that, a live one. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But I'm an old guy now, 37, going on 38. So my music's dying out, but gotta represent. This is In Utero. Not their best album, I would say, but it still has some bangers on it. All right, I'm gonna move on here. I should show you all on the big screen. Yeah, if Taiwan Chai can wear them, I can. I think Taiwan Chai has launched his own clothing brand now, I think, called Taiwan Chai Clothes or something like that. Taiwan Chai Clothing makes sense. But yeah, he was doing all the old 90s bands t-shirt gimmick for a while. He stole my bit. No, it's cool. He had a Chili Peppers shirt on when I last saw him in person. And I love the chilies as well. I've got them here. I have a couple of Chili Pepper t-shirts from the same store. And yeah, I'm thinking it's time to start getting more tattoos again. It's been 3 years nearly since I got this one. So I might, my next Bangkok trip, I might start filling up the physique with a few more tats, usually just from 90s music bands or video games. That's the plan. Got to get a Metal Gear Solid tattoo. That's what I'm thinking. I've recently gone down a rabbit hole of Metal Gear Solid video games. So I was obsessed with these as a 11-year-old. I think the first time I played Metal Gear Solid, and then through my teenage years. Now I smashed out Metal Gear 1 and 2 quickly before the baby was born, and now I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 3, the Delta remake they just released on PS5. Having a great time. Total nostalgia trip down to the 2000s, in the late 90s. So I just live in the past, it's better than the present. Here it is, the seed for the Metal Gear podcast. Yeah, I messaged Will about this, saying when I was in my Metal Gear fanboy peak recently, a few weeks ago, I said, I'm thinking of doing a podcast about Metal Gear. So if any of you like Metal Gear as much as I do and want to do some live shows just talking about Metal Gear, let me know. I'd be down. I thought about just dissecting the first 2-3 games, maybe the fourth, but I haven't played the fourth since it came out on PS3. It's been locked in PS3 hell forever. PS3 had some problems though. You can't just port games very easily off of it. I think it's coming out in Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. So, but yeah, I've only played through that once, and it was about 2008, 2007. So I'm looking forward to doing that one again. Yeah, I'd love to just go through all those games, do like 10 episodes on each game. If anyone's down, let me know. We can have a bit of fun with it. Oh, Anonymous looks down. Says Metal Gear Solid is my favorite game series. Well, Anonymous, I knew you were a smart person because you are a member of this channel and you always tune in and comment. So you've just proved it even more. My ringtone and alarm clock for the past 12 years has been the codec ringing sound. That is old school. I love that. I used to have the when the guards catch you and it goes, the alert sound, which I think has crossed over into mainstream culture now. On a lot of TikTok videos, you get that. On the game, you'd have this exclamation point would go above the guard's head, and then there'd be an alert sound like blah. Yeah, that used to be my text message on my old phones, my flip phone or my Nokia or whatever. But I love that you're still representing it, Anonymous. Nick Time Story of the Fight movie review podcast. I'm totally down, Will. Totally down. I would love to do that. Yeah, we chat about movies all the time on WhatsApp. Why don't we just do it online? Yeah, I've seen a few films lately. After becoming a father, I just tend to stay up quite late, right? So a lot of people were saying it's going to be really horrible, but I'm loving it. I actually get so much time now to watch films and play games. I'm staying in obviously a lot more, and I'm staying up late with the baby, so my missus can sleep a little bit. We'll watch movies together, and then she'll pass out, and I'll just play some games till 2-3 a.m. and then go to bed. Yeah, it's golden time right now. I'm loving it. Yeah. Story Anonymous had the alert sound as my text tone, but it used to make me jump every time. Yeah, I had that as well. I think I switched it for the 24. Remember 24, the TV show, Jack Bauer? I had the clock ticking sound, for my text. That was really cool. I miss that now. Yeah, I don't think since I started using iPhones, I don't really have the text sounds, so maybe I'll bring that back. I don't know how to upload your own ones, and I tend to just keep my phone on silent because it's really annoying hearing sounds now. But maybe I'll bring it back. You've inspired me a little bit. Curly Fi, what's up? Says, when will the full card for 31st drop? That's a good question. I usually don't see them until the week before, so the Saturday before I expect. So I imagine I'll see it on the 25th. But sometimes I get wind of it a little bit early through my spies. No, I start hearing things sometimes. Sometimes I'll see a little bit more before it's released. But I can't really report it because it's shared with me in confidence, and I don't want to break that confidence with people. So, but then sometimes you also see things just leak elsewhere on other platforms and things. So keep your eyes peeled, Curly Vi. This is a nostalgia episode of the show. Yeah, I agree. Because I run out of material to talk about, don't actually have Dennis Porch to talk to. So we're just going down a little bit of a nostalgia rabbit hole from the 90s. But yeah, Anonymous, if you'd be up for listening to an MGS podcast, let me know. I'm sort of slightly serious about making that. I think it could do really well because after I went down that rabbit hole, I just was searching YouTube for Metal Gear Solid content, and I wanted to hear people's thoughts on them 20, 30 years on, and there's not much really out there. There are some, but they're not great. I think it could be really fun, and I look at them and the view counts are insane as well. It's sort of like 500,000 views, 1 million views. It's still an extremely popular series. Konami back in the day, Kojima obviously is the man. He has all these fanboys, right? I'm one of them. They still stick with him. He's still loyal. He's still making games. Death Stranding 2, which I recently started and kind of got sidelined while I was playing Metal Gear. So I'm going to get back to that soon. But right now, I'm finishing up Metal Gear Solid 3, and then I'm thinking of doing Ghost of Yotei. I just bought that. And then now we got the dogs barking. Then, yeah, probably get back to Death Stranding 2. It's just Death Stranding 2 is one of those games, when you sit down, it's like, I'm going to have to do like 3 or 4 hours here to do anything meaningful. I can't just pick it up for 45 minutes and get through a couple of missions. It's like, no, dude, I need, to just close the curtains and lock the doors. I'm going to zone in on this. It's that type of game. But it's very fun. I played through about 5 or 6 hours already, and I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, it isn't your typical game. It's not for everyone, I would say. What are the top Metal Gear games of all time? Well, this is interesting, Keith. I'm glad you asked. I've been thinking about my rankings recently because, as a kid, I was always Metal Gear Solid 2. For me, was the king. Then Metal Gear Solid 1, then 4, then 3, and I'm not really into 5. I know a lot of people like it. I just felt it was too much of a departure from the series. It was open world and just didn't really do it for me. So I would put that last. I haven't really gone back to whatever. I may now. There are some spin-offs. Obviously, there was a game about Raiden called Metal Gear Rising, and played that a little bit when it came out. I wasn't a huge fan. It's obviously the first 2 games, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake. I never played those, I'll be honest, but I do have them in my master collection thing I downloaded, so I could dip into those at some point. But they seem a little bit too old school for me. I would love them to remake it for modern audience someday, but I'm not sure they would. There are other spin-offs as well. They did for the PlayStation Portable called Peace Walker. I haven't played that one, but I think that'll also be in the new collection part 2 they released. There's a bunch. There was a mobile game, I think, as well. So, but for me, I kind of stick to the solid canon, and for me, MGS2 is, I may move that below MGS1. Just as I'm older now, I can kind of see that that game is more of an idea than a video game. It's kind of about, yeah, ideas and things. It's not actually that fun to play. I mean, it is fun, but there's a lot of cutscenes and information. Metal Gear Solid 1 has more of the kind of gameplay. Still doesn't have a lot of cutscenes too. Metal Gear Solid 3, a lot of people like because it's way more gameplay heavy. And MGS4 is kind of a mix of the two, has the gameplay and the cutscenes. So it depends, but if I'm staying loyal to my childhood, I would say Metal Gear Solid 2 is my all-time favorite. And it's just incredible how some of the ideas in that game still are so relevant today, such as, everyone talks about the ending conversation with, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it kind of delves into themes of AI. And this is a game that came out in 2001. Way before AI was a thing, and it delves into the ideas of social media and memes and people selecting their own truth and ignoring other truths, and kind of everyone having an opinion, and it kind of creating this deluge of information overload, which just drowns out the real information, and then it's difficult to actually know what is real or what is worth passing on, to the next generation. That is the whole crux of that game. It's very interesting. There's a Metal Gear Solid movie that's been in development right to limbo for many years now. Anonymous says, yeah, I remember hearing things about it. I'm not sure. It feels like it's too late now, because I think the generation that grew up with it are like me now, and possibly you, or sort of late 30s. I don't know your age, Anonymous, but late 30s, early 40s. And yeah, maybe some of it might seem a little outdated, yeah, if they do that. At the time, it was very sci-fi, sort of the technology in it and the ideas were ahead of the time, but now it would be quite outdated. Alan Wake 2 free on PlayStation Plus right now, super good game. Story of the Fight says, yeah, I think I downloaded that when it came out because my miss likes Alan Wake, so she played a little bit. I never went into it, but I may check it out. I heard great things. Keith Larimore, I went from 1 to 5 and didn't love 5. Yes, I'm with you. I didn't love 5. I just thought it was too different, and Jack Bauer was the voice, not David Hayter. So yeah, Kiefer Sutherland stepped in to voice Big Boss, and I wouldn't have minded it if Metal Gear Solid 3 they had Kiefer Sutherland, so they kept it consistent. Because why would I know Solid Snake was cloned from Big Boss, but why would he have the same voice anyway? But yes, MGS5 Phantom Pain had amazing gameplay but awful story. Anonymous. That's what I remember. It was very fun to play, but yeah, this story just seemed a bit lame, and it's sort of like Death Stranding as well. All the cutscenes kind of take place back at the base, where you go and do your mission, then you go back to your base, and you have your cutscene. You go do another mission, you have a cutscene back at the base, and it's less linear progression. Everyone seems to hate linear games now, but I love the linear game that kind of pushes you in one direction. You can move around a little bit, but you move forward, you progress, the story unfolds. It's what's so wrong with that? Everyone now has to have this open world where you just games have been ruined. MGS5 is good just for this is what 1,000 hours of Metal Gear Solid 5 playtime looks like, just to see how much better people are than me. Well, yeah, I got kind of lost in it. These games that never end. For me, it's never what I really liked about games. I quite like finishing a game. I like being able to finish a game in a week or two and put it down, pick up something else. I don't like to play things for 6 months, and things nowadays really kind of just want to be endless, Red Dead Redemption 2, one of my favorite games of all time. That took me about half a year to finish, just because if you have a life, a job, and family, it's really difficult to put in all the time. You end up just playing it for so long. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I just did it last year. That took me so long. I think I did over 100 hours. Yeah. To me, that's insane. I used to think those games were long, and they were 30 hours or something. I used to think, oh, that's incredible. 30 hours on a game. I used to boast to my friends, oh, I got 35 hours on Final Fantasy VIII. It's nothing now. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan as well. So, linear game with a great story can be so rewarding if done well. Story of the fight says. I agree. Yeah, I think we need to bring that back a little bit more. There are some games that are trying to bring that back, but open world is the future, and yeah, it's sort of a thing of the past, the linear world. I love how this podcast has just turned into video game chat. Sorry, I do have some other one championship news I'll talk about, but we're having fun here. If you're not enjoying it, I'm sorry. Just leave and come back in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or you can watch after we finish and skip to the end. I'm enjoying it. Anonymous said, Metal Gear Solid 5 lost me when they started going on about vocal parasites and whatever that gave random characters superpowers. Kind of like how MGS4 went crazy with the nanomachine stuff. Yeah, Kojima did get a little bit crazy with things. The stuff with Revolver Ocelot turning into Liquid Snake because he grafted his arm on. And then I guess the nanomachines in Liquid's blood from the arm went into Ocelot and took over his mind, but also somehow this guy suddenly became British. The voice, yeah. Although in MGS4 they kept the voice as Ocelot, not Liquid Snake, I think. But in the Japanese version, it had the Liquid actor. I mean, that is what you get with Kojima. He's kind of wacky, isn't he? And Death Stranding is the same. So I don't mind. I'm happy to suspend disbelief. But yeah, it may not translate well to a movie. I think it would do better as possibly an anime or some kind of series on Netflix, like an animation series. Or yeah, I don't know if it would lend itself well to the theater experience. They could do a live action series possibly, but it would have to be. It's kind of wacky and goofy, so it may not play very well if it's not animation. You know what I mean? All right. Should we talk about fights or games? Let me know. We can do both. But yeah, the only other thing I wanted to talk about is Rodtang and Nong-O. So back on my Insta page, we'll do a little bit of fight talk, then some video games again. Yeah, so shout out Combat Sports Today News. Put up the video of Nong-O meeting Zlatan, who is of course Rodtang's infant son. Rodtang and I had his baby born in July, I think. So must be about 2-3 months old now. Yeah, 3-4 months. So Rodtang and Nong-O played in this. I think it was a football tournament. I've seen multiple teams, but so there was a team for all the gyms. Superbon training camp had a team there. Nong-O was there. Superbon was there. Rambelek, Kunsuek. Yeah, I saw. So Rodtang was obviously there with Luxicon Tin Gym. Sangartit was there with him. I saw a Jitmonon team as well in red shirts, but yeah, it was really fun. Rodtang and Nong-O in their match. Rodtang basically did a MMA style takedown on Nong-O, got a yellow card for it, got booking from the ref. Everyone was smiling and laughing. But they had their little face off in the canteen there as well, pitch side, and Rodtang kissed him on the cheek. That is, Rodtang's thing is the kiss. It's funny. Gave me a kiss after he beat Takeru in Japan. I saw him coming down the side after he left the ring, and I was filming his walk to the back, and he saw me and came over and planted one right on my cheek. It's quite disarming. I think he likes to do it. Yeah, it just kind of adds to your your love for Rodtang. You know, he's a fun guy. But yeah, he was very nice to me in that whole week. I don't know. I think he remembers me from when he's I've been interviewing for years, seen him around events for years, but I think he appreciated when he lost the belt on the scale about a year ago. I saw him at the face-offs the next day, and yeah, everyone was giving him a lot of shit online, especially in Thailand, and for being so unprofessional. And he was hurting, he was really hurt. This was when he was fighting Jacob Smith, and he'd obviously missed weight for the Dennis Poirier fight a few months before that, and it's not his first time he's missed weight, obviously, but he lost the belt this time, and he was feeling very low, and I just gave him a hug. We're on a rooftop in Bangkok for these face-offs. Gave him a hug, and he doesn't speak great English, but I think he understands some, and I said, "Don't worry about it, man. You'll be back." The typical things you say. I think he appreciated it though, because he was getting a lot of shit from a lot of people, and so yeah. Then every time I see him, he's just runs over, shakes my hand, and high five, whatever. He remembers that. Kindness can go a long way sometimes, and yeah, when I saw him in Tokyo, after his weigh-in, he just came over and said hello, and then after the fight, yeah, I think because he's with Pete Condition Nutrition, he knows I hang out with Pete a lot, and yeah, we both went up to the hotel room and played FIFA. It was hilarious. So I think, yeah, a lot of people think Rodtang is this or that bad dude. He's a great guy. He's really funny. He loves to have fun, and there were some really fun videos coming out from this. Not only the tackle Rodtang on Nong-O, but they were just having fun the whole day. And there's another video where someone asks them to, like, you got to knock each other out in Tokyo next month, and Rodtang says, like, he can't even beat me in the coin toss. How's he gonna knock me out? He's just having fun with it. I like it. It's great to see this rivalry. These two are good friends. They have been friends for a long time. They've known each other for a long time. It's going to be difficult to put that rivalry aside and punch each other in the face. Super Bon was telling me about it when Nong-O beat Kong Tony, and I interviewed Super Bon because Nong-O was I think in the medical, so he couldn't come to the media. And Super Bon said it's going to be really difficult for us to do this fight. Yeah, Rodtang's like a brother to us, and yeah, they were having fun. In that video with the baby here, Nong-O is kind of saying to Rodtang, "Oh, he looks like his mother." He's joking because obviously the baby looks exactly like Rodtang. Everyone's saying online. This is thanks to I got to shout out NG. I don't know if he's in the chat today, but he was helping me with some translation on that stuff. I appreciate that. NG, aka Pepper, sent me the translation, so thank you, sir, for those things. Because yeah, you see a few translations flying around that are not always correct. So I was making sure to check that it's accurate. Yeah, Uncle Nong-O, Anonymous says, it's just very wholesome to see. It's nice to see. It's a bit of an antidote to the trash talk sometimes. And a lot of people say one championship needs more trash talk. But I think in a way, when you get actual wholesomeness like this, it is better than trash talk. And I'm not saying it's going to hype the fight better, but one used to build themselves on, like, oh, we are different from the trash talk. We are respect and honor and courage, discipline, whatever the values were. But it didn't even feel like they had that real respect between fights, as in, like, you're trying to manufacture it sometimes, but this is real respect. This is what respect looks like between two fighters, and it's heartwarming to see. Rodtang taking Nong-O's guard down. Yeah, you should see the tackle. I don't know where it is. You can catch it on socials if you follow the right accounts. But yeah, he just went in for a rugby tackle, or sort of like a double leg takedown, something. It was incredible. But yeah, he's a sweet guy. I agree, Anonymous. As Keith says, Rodtang's most ferocious with the guys he respects. It'll be respectful, but it's not going to be a sparring match. I think they will try to take each other's heads off. They competitive. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think, Keith, they are competitive. I thought you were just they competitive. It's going to be like that. I think very, very ferocious. I do think Rodtang will win. I think Nong-O is a little less chinny at flyweight, but we saw, I think, against Kong Torney when he got caught, he very nearly went down, and he would have lost the fight then. He stayed on his feet, but he was wobbling, stumbling backwards. He's been chinned by a few guys at bantamweight now who are kind of obviously much bigger than him, and even Nico Carrillo's gone up to featherweight now, and I think Haggerty is a massive bantamweight, and he didn't get knocked out by him, Nabati, but I think he lost a close fight there. He did really well. But I think if Rodtang catches him, he could knock him out. And Rodtang's got the iron chin. I don't think Nong-O is the man to break it. Although, how many guys did Nong-O put out in his heyday? So it's still a really intriguing fight. But I would back Rodtang to get a TKO or a knockout. We'll see. It could be violent. It will be violent, I think. All right. Anonymous, I'm looking forward to Rodtang fights after Nong-O. I want to see him against one of these new phenoms. Well, that's a good segue. Oh, here's NG, by the way. You didn't miss Purge, NG. As I was saying earlier, so I got the dates and the time wrong on Purge. Purge is going to be tomorrow around about this time. So my bad. We're just having a bit of a video games chat to fill the time. But now we talk about Nong-O and Rodtang. Pepper's ears were burning. Yeah, he heard me say his name. Yeah, that's what he means. So I just mentioned you. I was thanking you for the translation on this story that you helped me with. So I mentioned your name, and then that's what the reference is. Your ears are burning. You hear your name mentioned, and suddenly you jump in the chat. Yeah, he's explained it a bit better than I did. But yeah, on that kind of segue from Anonymous talking about, I want to see him against one of these new phenoms. There was a bit of beef, it looks like, between Aslam, John Ortikov, and Rodtang. So I'm going to write that story up today. After I finish this, I'll do a bit of real work for Bangkok Post. But yeah, the thing of that was, so Rodtang was there Friday fights last week with Duang Dornoy, who I should have shown her victory earlier when I did my Friday fights recap. But she was one of the big talking points. Obviously, his sister-in-law, sister of Ida, Luxai Kongdin. There's a whole bunch of them, right? I think sister of Sengartit as well. I don't know the exact ins and outs of the family, but Rodtang was there with her, and Rodtang went backstage and did some media when she won, and some of this was reported in the Thai media, Rodtang's quotes, but then it kind of got translated to English and put out there as Rodtang saying, I can take on Akif and Aslam at the same time and beat them both. And kind of calling on Chatri to give him this 2-on-1 fight. And, it caused a bit of a stir. And then I think Aslam John reposted it and commented on it saying, like, I've lost all respect for Rodtang now. So it caused a bit of spice. And then obviously the Thai media picked up Aslam's response, not knowing that Rodtang had been slightly misquoted. And NG again, as he's saying here, can't stand mistranslations from some sources. He kind of pointed out to me that these quotes were maybe a little bit inaccurate. So what Rodtang actually said, it seems, is let me see. I'm just scrolling up on text because he sent me this. Excuse me 1 second. I have it here. Okay, so I'm going to read it out. the question, I think it may have been from our very own friend of the channel, Shine, aka One Lumpini FC. Go follow him on Facebook or wherever you get your news. Says both Aslam John and Akif fight in the same weight class as you. This is to Rodtang. The same rule set as you. What do you think about these two guys? And Rodtang says, I'm sorry, everyone, I'm not that good. I can fight with anyone. Boss Chatri, please give me a large fight purse. Yeah, everyone laughs. He says, that's all I ask. I'm not that great. Interviewers and news outlets. I'm not good. I can take them both on even. But Boss Chatri, please give me a large fight purse. And then the interviewer asks again, each person 3 rounds. And Rodtang says, I'll do it for the boss, for Chatri. I just want a large fight purse. That's all. I'm 28, almost 29. I don't know how many more years I've got left fighting. Please, boss, a large fight purse. I'll take on both of them. If I lose, it's not too serious. Just when I sign the contract and there is this much money, then I'm okay with it. So I think the takeaway from that is he is saying, yeah, I'll fight both of them, but he's not saying I'll fight them both at the same time. So I think that got lost in translation. And then Aslam John kind of picked up on that and got offended because it seemed disrespectful from Rodtang. But, you know, NG's saying to me that is not the case. So actually Rodtang was being respectful and saying, I'm happy to fight both. I just want money. He's asking Chatri for money. And he's saying, you know, I'll take them on, but I'm not that good, but I'll do my best. That's sort of what I take away from it. So, yeah, a shame it got sort of, if it was lost in translation, it's a shame, yeah. So I messaged Aslam, see if he has a response. But I'm going to work something up later. But it's still an interesting story to me. I think, yeah, Rodtang saying he'll fight both guys, and that's what I was segueing to, because Anonymous said, I want to see him against one of these new guys. He's happy to take them on. I think, yeah, Rodtang. I think Rodtang will beat Nong-O, and I think he'll have the belt. And then it's going to be interesting to see, because there was an era where Rodtang was, I think it's fair to say, being a little bit protected by One. He was getting favorable matchups because he would, let's be honest, he would kind of mess around. He wouldn't take it seriously. He was missing weight all the time. He wasn't training properly. You know, he'd do like 2 days training for some fights. But I think now he's linked up with Pete. You know, I think he knows he needs to be serious to beat these guys. And when Rodtang is serious, he's just unstoppable, I feel. So Rodtang, if he wants to get these big purses, you know, against Takeru, against Nong-O, maybe a super leg rematch, maybe take on some of these young guys like Aslam John Otikov and Akif Gulazada, and I think Kongtorny will make his way up there eventually too. Jiao Suyai. You know, if he wants to take on these guys, he's got to be serious. So he's going to stay with Pete and he's going to be dialed in, but he wants to be making money. Yeah, he's got a big family to take care of, you know. So that's my take on all that stuff. I think, yeah, I don't think he'll be afraid to fight these guys, but the fights will be tougher than we've seen Rodtang maybe through most of his One career. You know, I think we're starting to see Rodtang take on the level of opposition that we wanted him to take on for a while, but he's kind of not been matched up against for so long. I don't know whether it's out of fear he might lose the belt or whatever, but I don't think anyone should be afraid of Rodtang. He's incredible. Yeah, he's got the ability to match the charisma, you know. And if he loses the belt, he loses the belt. He's still a superstar, and he'd get the belt back, I think. But anyway, Rodtang knocking down contenders is the best possible course, the way the fight says. Anonymous says he needs to be more serious against the new guys. They seem better than the previous top 5 Rodtang didn't fight. This is kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree. Super Leg is no longer at flyweight to clear the top 5 for him. Yeah, that's another thing. You know, Super Leg's kind of been that gatekeeper, just beating all the contenders and then keeping them away from Rodtang. But I think Super Leg is not coming back to flyweight. He could, if he gets serious, possibly. But I think he's happy at bantamweight, and all power to him. I think he's happy that he can eat more. And But yeah, bantamweight is not the same either. Really, you got a lot of monsters there now too, who are bigger than super leg. And honestly, if I'm super leg, I'd be getting with Pete, Condition Nutrition, and saying, "Get me down to flyweight," because I think super leg can destroy everyone at flyweight. He can clear them all out, whether it's kickboxing or Muay Thai. And I include, I mean, I'd love to see super leg Rodtang rematch someday, but I think I want to see it in kickboxing. I think if Rodtang beats Nong-O now, I would do Rodtang and super leg beats. Well, it doesn't really matter what happens with super leg, but I think if super leg can come down to flyweight, I want to see super leg Rodtang kickboxing title in Denver, shall we say? Or is it ridiculous to do that fight outside of Thailand? You know, maybe in January or something, if they're doing a big Impact show, or whenever they do the next Impact, you could headline that with Rodtang Super Lucky. You could probably headline that at is it Red like the football stadium, 50,000 people. That would fill out that stadium. That is such a big fight. But yeah. But if Super Leggin can defend his kickboxing belt in the next 6 months or less, I would, and I hate to say this because I'm a huge fan of Super Leg, but I would strip him of the belt. I think it's been nearly 2 years since he defended the belt, if I'm correct, against Takaru, and he hasn't fought at flyweight for 15 months now. I think Kongtorni was the last one. So, you know, I'm on the rankings panel, and I think I didn't put Super Leg in my last rankings because, you know, he's not fought in flyweight for 15 months, and it's going to be 18 months pretty soon because, you know, he's fighting at bantamweight in November against Yuki Yoza. So he's got no intention of going to flyweight until at least, next year, early next year. But I would take the belt off him if he's not going to fight, not going to defend it. You know, we got to stop having these things where people don't defend belts for 4 years, 3 years, even 2 years is too much. I think 1 year is the most you can get away with if you're being a serious promotion, serious organization. You can do a year. There are extenuating circumstances. You know, you might get injury. You know, you might have 2 belts to defend, so you're busy doing that, which is kind of what Superleg's doing. He's busy chasing other stuff in bantamweight, but defend or vacate, you know. And I say this I love Superleg so much, and I say this for everyone though. I was calling Rodtang to be stripped before because he wasn't defending that belt and he wasn't making flyweight. So I say it for everyone. I'm not being biased or anything. I think Malakin should be stripped of the light heavyweight MMA belt and the middleweight belt. It's been too long. You know, if he doesn't regain the heavyweight belt against Rugog, I would probably build a light heavyweight division for Malakin, and then he should vacate the middleweight belt, and you should get that division moving again. Because I don't think he can make that weight anymore. You know, it was superhuman effort to get there first time, but then it took too much out of him. It kind of lost some of his strength. I think it affected him against Rugog. I mean, RDR dropped him in that fight too. So yeah, if you're not going to fight, DiBella was talking about this with Prajanchai. You know, he said, "I want to defend my belt. I'm not going to wait like Prajanchai for a year and a half. I'm going to defend it. I'm not going to wait 15 months." Yeah, that's how it should be. Pampayak too, Keith says. Yes, I can't remember what that's in reference to, but yeah, flyweights. Something in the States, please. Literally anything. Yeah, I think Denver next summer would be good. I'd love them to go to New York. DiBella was talking about Madison Square Garden. I don't think he meant like the main venue because it's a very pricey place to hire, but they do have a smaller venue inside. Forgot the name of it, but DiBella has fought there many times. He was telling me before. I don't know what it's called. Sorry. It has a. It's gonna bug me if I don't get it. I'm just googling it now. The theater, I think. The Hulu theater. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we could do that. I don't know how many seats, but I think it's like 5,000+, which would be good. I think one needs to go to those kind of numbers if they're going to do American shows. I think the first Denver show was 5,000 seats, and that arena was crazy, man. Ball Arena was much bigger and it was harder to fill. They did a good job. I think they had over 10,000 there, but yeah, why not just kind of do a couple of smaller venues, do two. If you want to do 3-4 US shows a year or multiple ones, do those smaller venues. I think it'll have better success. But, one likes to have the spectacle of the big arena, the basketball arenas, and why not? If you can fill it, that's good. But they do cost a lot, those places to run. Anonymous says that fight should stay in Thailand. Love how loud the crowd gets. That's super like Rodtang. Yeah, I mean, it would be perhaps sacrilege to take it out of Thailand, but it can't be Lumpini again. It cannot. It just cannot. That was a waste. It was a great fight, great show, but they left a lot of money on the table there. Could have sold out Impact easy with that. Keith says Empire can't beat cab drivers on OFF these days. I wouldn't mind seeing him move down to strawweight. He was talking about that for a while. I'm not sure if he's already done it, but I think he stayed at Fly. But yeah, these guys are a little too big for him at Fly. Yeah, Asadullah is a monster. He's coming up as well. Rodtang better watch out for him. Story of the fight feels like all these double division, double sport champs caught the eyes of North American fans when the Amazon push first started, but I think a lot lost interest when stuff was never defended. Yeah, it looks cool to have two belts and to say he's a 2-division champ, 2-sport champ, whatever, but it doesn't often translate into the excitement because if you don't defend those belts, people forget who you are, or forget who the contenders in the division are. The division suffer. So is it worth propping up someone as the double champ just for the sake of it? Or is it worth having a functioning division? I always lean towards the latter. I don't know why some people will just have belts and then they never defend them. It makes no sense to me, 0 sense. Just at least get interim belts going, Like, it's pretty easy. Okay. Atomweight belt hasn't been defended in ages, Anonymous says. Atomweight Muay Thai, because I don't think they have one yet for men. They're gonna have one in Japan, inaugural. Is that atomweight women's Muay Thai? I think Alicia's defended it a couple times this year. What are you talking like atomweight MMA? That might be what you mean. Stamp. She's been injured, and then Denise won it. Then Denise got injured. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, atomweight MMA. Okay. Yeah, that division's been unlucky. They were going to have the fight in Denver last August, but Stamp had a injury setback in her knee, so he wasn't 100%. And then Denise got promoted to the champ from interim champ, and then they were going to fight in Japan, right? November. Then Denise got injured, so it's a mess. It's been cursed, that division. Yeah, I feel like they should have done Ayaka versus someone for interim belt again, just to keep that division moving. Because, like you say, it's not been defended in ages. I was surprised they took Ayaka off the card. I think Ayaka deserved to fight for a belt on that show. I would have done. Maybe they can still add it. Ayaka versus Ham Sohee interim belt. Ayaka versus Chihiro Sawada interim belt. Why not? Just do something. Don't just do nothing. I hate when, nothing happens. I was saying Pampaya cleared Savas for Rodtang like super leg. Yeah. In the Grand Prix. Head kick. I think one needs stomach being on the smaller scale for a bit while they are still growing, says NG. Because as hard as it may be for Chachu to admit, one is young and grew a little too fast for its own good. Yeah, it's 13 years now. Still relatively young, and I think they're in a new phase now where they had that initial phase of kind of when they were first around, then they had like incredible amounts of investor money, so they were kind of growing at an incredible rate and putting on shows everywhere. And now it seems the investor money has dried up, and they're kind of going back to basics, which is like living off their own revenue for the most part. And yeah, that has slowed things down a little bit. Maybe there'll be another investor boom, but I would like to see them just grow organically now and like spend what they earn, and I think it'll grow. It's growing massively in Thailand, which is a good base for them. They're now targeting Japan for that next area of growth, it looks like to me, taking all the best Japanese fighters, putting on more shows there. And then you've got other markets I think you can grow in, like Malaysia, which has, huge interest from what I see on socials for guys like Jojo, Alif, and young Rifdeen Mastur, and I'm sure Jihin. They've got a bunch of stars there they can use. I think they should put on a show there. I think there was talk of that recently. Didn't come to fruition. But yeah, I heard, yeah, that was in the works, but I don't think it's going to happen. Then you got, what other markets? It's a shame about Myanmar not being really available to go to, because those fans have never left. Ongla's crazies. They're still there. Shout out to the Myanmar fans, the Burmese. They're still getting behind Ongla, and then they're getting behind Veronica and all these guys on Friday fights. Tanzine, Solianu, Tuolin Tet, this guy this week, Tun Min Ong. Yeah, it's incredible support. If you could go to Yangon, that could be a huge market for them still. I know like the money side of it is less in these countries like Malaysia and Myanmar, but it's still better to put on a big show in a sold out arena, I think. And yeah, you'll make less money in that market, but you got to serve that market. That's your fan base, and these are the people who share your content online, and they watch every week and they buy tickets, and yeah, serve that fan base. And then I think there's a couple other old markets they could dip their toes back in, and like, who knows, China. Or, yeah, like I've said it before. I think one needs to kind of go back to what got them to the dance, which is Asia. For me, what was really attractive to covering one and following it was an Asian organization. It was kind of like this Asian alternative to UFC. It's like, we're gonna do martial arts the right way. We're gonna do what it used to be, respect and honor. And we got MMA, we got Muay Thai, kickboxing, and then that's what really, the appeal was so good. And there was nothing like that out there. But then somewhere along the way, it kind of became, oh, we're not Asia, we're global. We're gonna go and challenge the UFC in their own backyard, and that never ends well for anyone trying to do that, because the UFC is just too big of an entity to take on. They're literally, tied up with Donald Trump, the president. No one's going to beat them. If anyone tries to, they will get shut down. You're seeing this with everyone who tries, like PFL as well. I've kind of retreated to doing, shows in other countries, building up regional leagues like PFL Africa, PFL Europe, PFL Pacific. I'm sure they'll do an Asian one soon. I think one needs to, rediscover that what it was. It was the powerhouse in Asia, right? We are going to be the biggest thing in Asia. We're going to take over all these big Japanese markets. Take over all these big Asian markets: Japan, Thailand, Singapore, Myanmar, Philippines. That's another thing they should go back to. Another market they should go back to: Malaysia, China. Just imagine if they could crack China. It's like they wouldn't need the US. There is money in Asia. There is money in Japan. Big money if they can get it right. If they can take the MMA market from Ryzen, which I don't think is impossible. If they can get success with their kickboxing in Japan, I think they're already, like, arguably you could say they got like the biggest kickboxing stars in Japan now, and they're taking all the the big ones away from other orgs, and they're putting on the biggest kickboxing fights. I think you can say they're already there. Can they do that for MMA now? Can they go, right, we are gonna take all the best Japanese MMA talent and stop them going to UFC? You seen like Kai Asakura is kind of bombed a little bit in UFC, but I think if one could have got him from Ryzen, they could have done a lot more with him. And I think that's got to be the next step. Like, can we tempt guys away from Ryzen, guys and girls? I think they do. I don't watch much Ryzen. Can we get the best of Japanese MMA coming to one instead of going elsewhere if they do move on from Ryzen? Because a lot of them stay in Ryzen because they pay well and they put on huge shows, 50,000 seats and things. And I think that has to be the next step. Take over that Japanese MMA market. That's real money. But there's money in Japan. There's money in China. Huge money in China if they can get it right. You've got to just find the right stars. The crossover appeal. There's money out here. There always has been. You don't have to go to US to make money. And I think that's my spiel. I think one should focus again on serving this Asian market and being the big dog out here and rediscovering what really made them big in the first place. Miura got screwed, Anonymous says. Keith says, what's the latest on the Lumpini contract? Anything you can let us know on that? Well, I'm gonna dance around that one a little bit, Keith, but what can I say? So I think one signed a 3-year contract with Lumpini when it first started, right? That's been reported. So that runs out December, I think December. So are they going to stay at Lumpini? Well, two things. They would, if they left Lumpini, they'd have to change the name. I guess they can just call it One Friday Fights in Thailand. I mean, I'm sure it's a possibility they'll extend with Lumpini, but I haven't heard anything yet if they have, and it's October 14th already, so got about 2 months left. There's plenty of time, but is there a real possibility one would leave Lumpini? I guess you could say there is. I don't know much that I could say on here. Other people would know more than me, but kind of hearing some things. Maybe other venues might be being explored. So they haven't committed to staying at Lumpini. And if you notice, I can say this: if you watch the broadcasts, do you hear them say Lumpini Stadium anymore? I don't think they do. The commentators say Bangkok, Thailand. They've stopped mentioning the Madison Square Garden of the East, which, let's be honest, was a little bit ridiculous. They've stopped all mentions of Lumpini Stadium. I think even on some of the artwork posters I see, I don't see the name of Lumpini Stadium on all of it. You do see it on the Friday fights, but I think on some of the fight night cards and the fight night announcement fights they make, you don't see the name Lumpini Stadium anywhere. I might be wrong on that. I mean, I'm just looking at one now. It does say Lumpini Stadium, so I disregard that from me. But it seems to be less pronounced that they're kind of. They used to really build up Lumpini, right, as this incredible venue, which is like steeped in history, and I think it is a lovely little venue, a little bit too far away from my taste. And I think that's the crux of it, Keith. If they do move, it is because I think they want a piece of the pie in central Bangkok, and they know that's where the money is in terms of tickets. You look at Raja Damner, RWS, they sell a lot of tickets to tourists because it's in the center of town. It's not like that central; it's still a little bit out the way, but it's easier to get to, and it's easier to advertise to tourists, than getting a bus out to Nong Tambari, Ramintra 5, wherever it is, Changwatana. I don't know the exact location of the area name, but it's pretty far away. That's all it matters. Yeah, so it's far away. It's hard to get those kind of rich tourists with their money out there. And I think if they were in a central location, we talked about this before, I think they would move a lot more tickets and they could sell higher price tickets, and that would be good income for them. Yeah, more revenue means win-win for everyone. So who knows? Maybe they will move. Maybe they will stay. I think we'll obviously find out in about 2 months because they'll have, I think, a 3-week break before January, the first show in Jan. But I don't know if there's implications. Yeah, for Channel 7. I presume that was a 3-year deal as well. They're going to move to a different TV network in Thailand. Could do as well. Maybe they won't start straight away in January. Could be a lull. Who knows? Yeah, but keep your eye on that. That's all I'll say. That there is some kind of changes possibly happening to One Friday Fights next year. Bring back Samila Sandel, says Miso Karib. Samila's gone. I think she's not coming back for now. She's gonna go to MMA. I think she's fighting in December somewhere. I would love to see her back, but if you want that, one thing has to happen, which is one builds a flyweight division. So unless they do that, Samila, they're not coming back. She can't make strawweight anymore. Right. There's a market for Muay Thai in the UK, says Anonymous, bigger than the USA. I agree. I don't know why they haven't gone over there and done shows. I think there was sort of this theory that, it's not the right time for our big markets, which they want to target Asia and the US as their markets. They don't want to target UK time zone, but why not? You got fans there. And even WWE goes over the UK, and they used to tape shows in the UK. Now they just run them live from the UK, which means in America it's at stupid o'clock or, in the middle of the afternoon or whatever, or the middle of the night. But they know it's just fine. They're still making money from that UK crowd and the UK audience. And WWE just did a couple big shows in Perth, Australia, in the local time zone, which threw me off because I was going to tune into Monday Night Raw this morning, but it was actually happened last night. I missed it all. So I'm going to go back and watch that after this. And then, why not go to the UK, do a show there? We've talked about this many times. They could easily sell out, I think, an arena there, 10,000 in Manchester, even the UK. So even London, you could do. I think they do all right at the O2 Arena. I think if you market it the right way, Haggerty, Nico Carrillo, not saying fight each other, but you put them both on the card. Liam Harrison, George Jarvis. I know I'm missing a lot of people right now, but they have so much UK talent coming through. It's just such a no-brainer. They could sell real tickets and make a real gate. If they have to do a smaller venue, do a 5,000 somewhere, there's plenty of those too. But I think all of the UK would turn out in force. All the Muay Thai fans over there would travel wherever it is. They get that train down to London or whatever, wherever it is. It'd be a real spectacle. You could do a weekend thing. You could do Friday fights in the UK as well. The way WWE does, they go, like I said, they just did Monday Night Raw in Perth. They did the pay-per-view on the Sunday, wherever it was, Saturday, and they did Monday Night Raw. Same city, same country. I think it was in Perth. It might have been another Australian city, but that's what you do to make these markets, Whether they can do that, if they're tied into a deal with Lumpini Stadium or wherever, they have to do every Friday fights in Thailand. That's probably the case. But how cool would that be? Yeah, it was like, we're just going to the UK for our fight night, whatever, or our numbered event. And the Friday show is going to be there. We'll find a smaller venue to the Friday show. You could do that when you go to America. You could run the Ball Arena for your numbered event, but your Friday fights could be, you can find somewhere that's like 2, 3, 4,000 seats, whatever. Kind of do ticket combinations. Sell a package deal. Like if you buy a number ticket, you get a half price entry to Friday. So things like that. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but wouldn't that be a cool way to build up markets? You do it in Japan easily, like this Sunday show in Japan, November 16th. Why don't we have a Friday fights live from Sumo Hall, where they did the old one shows in Japan? It's a smaller venue. We'll do Friday fights there. We'll load it up with Japanese kickboxers who aren't like quite at that level we want to put on in numbered event, but there's so many of the guys, that they didn't book again from the last 172, like Ryusei, you could use Shimon, and maybe Shimon's on this card, I don't know. Yeah, so many guys coming through on Friday fights in Thailand. Put them on in their own country. Put Taiki Naito there. Why not? Yeah, he could headline against you could do a rematch with a Stupinan or something like that. Taiki versus Jacob. I know Jacob's fighting 2 weeks before Japan, so not that. But yeah, I'm just coming up with ideas, I would like that. It's just not safe enough in Myanmar, unfortunately, says Keith. I'd love to go. Yeah. The political situation there has ruled that market out. If only COVID didn't happen, Angie says. Izawa over in Rising would be so sick in one. Sorry to fight. I agree. Plenty of talent they can go and get. They need better fighters from India, says Miso Karib. Then maybe they can host a show there. That was a plan they had, in 2021, there was a big push for the Indian market, just like everyone was doing. WWE was into that, and UFC, I think. COVID kind of held them back in that regard, but it didn't really materialize, But at one point, they were doing this big push in India. Yeah, they had Arjan was the heavyweight champ, and I think they still have the deal with Star Sports to show, so the market's still there, but they haven't gone over and done a show there. I do think you need like a quality Indian name to kind of carry that show. But they were trying to build up Ritu. They thought she was the one, but yeah, I think Ritu kind of tailed off a little bit, lost the stamp in the final of that Grand Prix, and then hasn't really recovered since then. She had a baby. She just came back, but lost to Ayaka. She's on this card against Itsuki. Maybe she can reignite her career with that, and yeah, maybe she can become that star for India with one championship. Okay, they gotta get Chevello back from Ryzen 2, and she says, I don't think that will ever happen. I want to see Ray Flores back. That's what I want. Bring back Ray. Bring back Ray Flores. He's so good. Yeah, he's so good. Not to knock the new commentators. I think they're all doing a great job. Doug is fantastic on Fridays, and Sarah. Brian's been stepping up too, and I think they had they flew in Tom DeBlast and Rich for one of the shows. But for me, it's Mitch and Ray, a good combo. They're the best combo they've had since Mitch and Chevello. So get Chevello back. Yeah, he's so good. He makes ordinary fights sound amazing, and ordinary calls just turns them into moments of magic that you can put on highlight reel packages for years and years. One pay-per-view looking stacked like a Riyadh season boxing card, says round one. Yeah, this show is incredible, man. Like, I think shout out again to Combat Sports. Today they put up a post and collab with me on it very kindly. I will show that here. But once you actually kind of look at the card, it is incredible. So there it is. And like I said earlier, it's going to be split over 2 shows, so to speak, in one day. I think there's going to be an intermission, 2 hours intermission. So I think the doors open around 11, 12. You're going to have your first afternoon card, and then 2-hour break. Then you have your evening card. So it's not just going to be like 7 title fights on the evening card. There's going to be, I think, 3 title fights in the afternoon, and then 4 at night, whatever it is. I think the Rug Malikan fight headlines the afternoon card. It's going to be a bit more MMA heavy, that one. So yeah, I think Christian Lee probably on that part as well. But I don't know. I need to see maybe Yuya and Pashio. They might save Yuya Pashio for the evening card because it's Yuya, it's Japanese. So maybe they'll shove like, I don't know, one of the other title fight, like Nabil and Haggerty could be the afternoon. Who knows? But I think they'll save Superbon, Noiri, Rodtang and Nong-O, Wakamatsu, Pashio, and Nadeka Numsarine for the evening show. That's my belief, not based on anything I've seen. But if I was a matchmaker, that's what I'd do. If you're splitting into 2, Just a shame about Ayaka and Denise. Yeah, that could have been a nice one for the morning or afternoon crowd. Yeah, then Marat Gregorian versus Ampo, Takuru versus Porsche, Yukiyosa Superleg, Stamp versus Kana, Akimoto Wei Rui, Suakim, Jake Peacock, Takuchi versus Erdogan, Bodoni versus Lovato Jr. grappling. Not my most knowledgeable thing, but I've been told by people who like grappling that is a sick fight. And mainly story of the fight, Will. And Tsuki Hirata versus Ritu Furuga, as we said. So that is a great little card there. Yeah, I think there may even be room for like 1 or 2 more fights on there. I do know of one fight that may yet get added. I think, yeah, don't be surprised if they chuck in a couple more. But yeah, that's blown up a little bit. 10,000 likes for this post. I'm glad. Thanks for collabing with me. Combat Sports Today. Big Phil. If you don't follow Combat Sports Today, go and do it. They are real ones. Another of my members. I appreciate them so much for all their support. NG says, well, that would kind of suck. Lumpini really is a great venue. Talking about the possible switch. A little far from everything, but still nice. Yeah, I have to say that I agree. It is very fun little venue. I do have some problems with it. I think the Wi-Fi sucks. The your phone just, you can't get any reception in there when there's too many people in there. There's no media seats like with tables and LAN connections, which, if we're being honest and straight up, like any modern venue that wants to like be a world-class sporting host world-class sporting events needs to have those kind of things, media tables and LAN cables, LAN cables, things like that, and really fast Wi-Fi for, as your media, you want to upload. We're trying to promote your show. That's why we're there. And you got to provide us with that stuff. Lumpini has none of that. You got to run to the back to like upload anything. And then even back there, the Wi-Fi can be a little touch and go. Not knocking it though. I love the vibe. It's it's an experience to go out there, and I love eating outside the canteen and like having a beer there and just talking to people, watching fighters walk by. It's a lovely little spot, right by this driving range golf course. Kind of picturesque. Lovely. What happens to all those talks about having events multiple times a week? Yeah, I think that kind of was predicated on staying with Lumpini, but maybe that's been put on hold because the Lumpini Stadium thing hasn't been resolved yet. We haven't heard they've agreed to a new 3-year deal, so that may come back NG next year. Yeah, so they were planning on doing a Sunday show at Lumpini as well, and also taking it on tour around into the provinces, kind of like Thai fight. So yeah, maybe this stuff will all materialize eventually. It's my dog. Miso Creep says, bring back Michael Chavello as well. Good night, Irene. Open the fridge. He's out cold. Some of Chavello's classic catchphrases there. If one could get something like the UFC Apex Arena, small arena for smaller shows. I mean, Lumpini kind of like that for them. It's essentially, but yeah, I think they need their own space. Like, can they do that? Can you take a venue and make it your own, and use it as your de facto office? It depends. Can you build something? I think, yeah, maybe one could just build their own thing like the Apex, but you want to have 2,000 to 5,000 seats. I think maybe some retractable seating. So if you want to bump it up to 5 for like a tent pole, you can bring those seats out. If you want to keep it to 2,000 for a standard Friday fight card, you don't want to look empty. Yeah, you can reduce the seats. That would be ideal. Nick on the one advisory board when Story of the Fight says, I'm but a humble media member, but I have ideas, and I'll throw them out whenever I have one. And if anyone wants to listen and try and action some of them. Be my guest, yeah, or talk to me. But I think these people all know more than me. They're paid to know more than me, and they know the ins and outs of the situations way more than I do. I'm just an outsider, so I'm sure a lot of what I say is not really applicable to reality. Yeah, I'm sure there are things that get in the way of these ideas. Story of the fight says Ray Flores really could have been the voice of one with Mitch and Dom in the ring. He fit in so well. Yeah, I'm really sad Ray's not there at the moment. I hope they can bring him back. He's incredible at what he does. Keith says, I'm just in awe of that card. I don't know about that ordering, but the card is incredible. Even if 3 top fights drop off, it'll still be incredible. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think the ordering on that graphic isn't how it's going to be. 173 really is stupidly stacked. Yes, story of the fight. Jake and Sua Kim, definitely a sleeper. Fight's going to be great. Yeah, I'll have Jake Peacock, I think, this week's interview, so we can ask him about that. Maybe try and get him on a live show. There's no food and no cameras in Lumpini either. Even the beers are few and far between. Yeah. You can't take in. I think you can't. Oh yeah, you got to go outside if you want food. They don't have concessions really. There used to be someone would come around with like the Chang girl. You could buy a Chang off her, and she might have popcorn. Maybe the popcorn you get. There's a stand behind the seats. Yeah, it's not ideal, man. It's just you got to move with the times, and I think you want to get somewhere that has like a proper concession stand. You can make money off that stuff too. You want to have a proper merch booth, not just like a little table outside the reception area. I think one does their best with what they've got there, but the setup of the stadium is kind of a bit outdated. If they could find a modern venue with proper concessions and food and drink stands and merch tables in a central location, I think they'd be cooking, as the kids say. Literally like one bathroom, 5,000 people. That is another issue. Yeah, that's another issue at Lumpini. Pay for one fight. Roberto Soldic X build their own space. Tick, says Angie. Yeah, maybe they can. Not to single out Soldic, but there are some fighters with expensive purses who, maybe one could, if they were no longer on the roster, they may have more money to big up their own space and build that out. But I love Soldic, so I want to see him fight, and I'm sure he brings value to them. They got to balance all these things, like, can this fighter? Yes, they're expensive, but will they bring us fans, and will they bring engagement on socials? And that's why Ong La, I'm sure, has a very expensive purse, but because he's kind of big from the old days. But for me, it's worth every penny every time, because he brings so much engagement on socials and so many viewers online and in the arenas. He sells tickets. He moves actual tickets. He moves a needle. There's no doubt about it. I would pay him whenever he wants, and I would keep paying Ong La till he's like 50 years old to just crush absolute cans. I'd be like, here's a bum from like the streets, Ong La, go knock him out. Here's your money. People will tune in and they'll love it. Yeah, you got lightning there. You got money. Use it. Anyway, we reached the end of the show. It's done an hour and a half. That really flew by. My God, I thought it was gonna be terrible at the beginning because I got the day wrong with porridge, and then there was a pneumatic drill on the roof. I thought this was gonna have to just turn off this live stream. It's cursed. But we worked it out. We started talking about Metal Gear Solid and some 90s grunt, and then we started talking about One Championship again. So the drill is back, so that's my cue to leave, guys. Soldic KO gets eyes, that's for sure, 100%. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna do a stream with Porridge then, but the drill's here. I'm out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for watching. See you soon.